Here's a little history of me so this makes more sense. I feel like I'm pouring half molten nails down my throat. DH, my husband, EM, entitled mother, and PK, poor kid. Obviously, it's him. I love eating in restaurants. Denny's, Applebee's, Little Family, Old Mexican, Chinese plates, etc. With that means I gotta get my food, which my husband typically orders for me to avoid me playing a game of charades with the waiter/waitress. We were eating out, and apparently this was wrong. So we were getting our food, and this little kid near us, maybe 8 or 9, was watching us since the restaurant was fairly empty. Right after the server leaves, the kid can audibly be heard speaking with his mother. A woman probably in her mid to late 40s. Mommy, what about her? What was that, PK? He ordered for both of them. He what? The girl didn't talk to him. That's not right. Let's go see if there's a reason, PK. At this point, she takes a few steps over towards us, PK in tow. Hi, you two. Hello? Who is this? Your girlfriend? Close enough. Do you need something? Do you do that often? Do what often? Order for her? All the time. Could you please stop that? I'd rather not. I'm asking nicely. Can she not talk? Basically, just don't do it again. I don't want my kid to grow up to be some barbarian. No, feel free to leave us alone. She leaves with a huff, and that seemed to be it for the night at first. As we got our food, we started talking, signing, both clearly a little confused about what this strange woman's issue was. Now, when I'm saying crazy in sign language, I use the ever-known finger pointing to the head crazy, which I happened to start using right as she reapproached us. What are you doing? Please go away, ma'am. I'm not going to let you teach my kid gang signs, so stop it. We're not teaching anything. I don't care what it is. Stop it. Just talk like normal people. She physically put air quotes on the word doc. Classy. She soon walked away and continued our conversation with her angrily staring at us and trying to shield her kid from the terrific gang signs up until they left. On behalf of all people who don't talk, I'd like to apologize for encouraging gang culture. /S. Okay, what the heck? Literally, she can't talk. And obviously, actually, it's pretty obvious that, she can't talk or she would have already. So, the fact that you accused her of doing something that she wasn't doing and just other things is not really very funny. And it's not scary at all because it's just sign language. This is how you deal with an entitled mother. Speak another language. Long-time lurker, first-time poster. Sorry for long post, but this is a funny one. I always thought these crazy people who don't mind their own business but must be a rare breed, and that I would never encounter one of them, but somehow I did. So a little bit of background before I start. I was born in Pakistan but came to Canada when I was 3. But by that time I could already speak in Urdu, Punjabi, and Hindi. The languages are fairly similar in many regards, and then I came to Canada and English was my 4th language. As I grew up, I also learned Arabic, French, and Japanese to varying competencies. I don't know how to say that, sorry. But all within the realm of conversational. Having grown up in Canada, I have no accent when I speak in English. So you wouldn't be able to tell me apart from a Caucasian person if you spoke with me over the phone. But also, having learned so many languages, I'm able to pronounce a lot of sounds fairly accurately. So I sound authentic in all languages that I speak into, all but native speakers. Most of the languages that I know sound different enough from each other that someone that doesn't know them can still tell that the language is different. I've traveled back home to Pakistan a few times, and I would always encounter those beggars who come with elaborate stories. Wow, I cannot read. Like, my wife is sick and she needs surgery, and I managed to get money for that, but I need money for the flight to reach her. I came up with a fun counter to that, which was that I would act like I didn't understand them at all and would start speaking in a different language that they wouldn't know. Japanese was my go-to language while in Pakistan. The reaction those people would have was quite hilarious. As per apparently new rules, instead of acronyms, I'll use fake names. I'll keep them all 5-letter names so the columns line up decently enough. So anyway, on to my story now. The cast. Karen, the star of the show. Jimmy, Karen's husband, and a decent human being. Zareth, me. Wifey, my wife. Just sing, because I can't pronounce stuff. Restaurant manager. So my wife and I were at an Indian restaurant in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, enjoying our dinner and having a conversation. We speak in a mix of Urdu and English, just mixing with whatever feels easy. To someone listening in, they would be able to understand enough to figure out what we were talking about in most cases. We were sitting at a booth table, and so it was only open from one side. Karen and her family, Jimmy and her 2 daughters, that looked like they were in their early teens, were sitting at an open table with an empty table between us. My wife is Pakistani like me, and what some Pakistanis like to do is eat rice with their hands. I prefer a spoon myself, but at this time my wife was eating with her hands. Apparently this Karen got offended at seeing my wife eat with her hands. When she came over, I started speaking in different languages, acting like I didn't understand what she was saying in English. I'll translate what I said and put in parentheses which language I said it in. Karen walks over to our table with a sour expression on her face. Jimmy calls to her, telling her to sit back down and leave us alone, but she ignored him. She addresses my wife directly. What's wrong with you? Can't you eat your food in a civilized manner like the rest of us? Urdu. Huh? What do you want? Can't you see we're eating? What did you just say? Don't talk to her in English. Just do what I'm doing. You're just a crazy woman. Go sit back down. Why aren't you speaking in English? We are just enjoying our meal. Why don't you go and sit down? I just heard you speaking English. I know you can talk in English. Yeah, I can, but I choose not to do so. I think she's getting upset. I know, that's what makes this so much fun. Stop it! Talk in English like I heard you before! So you're listening in on a conversation? Don't you have any manners? Wait, that's some other language now. What the hell is this? Leave them alone, Karen. They don't speak English. I know they do. They're just pretending to not to. It doesn't matter. Just sit down. I start waving toward her table. That's right. Go back to your table, you loud cow. Karen, they aren't doing anything wrong. Leave them alone. She's eating with her hands. I can't let the girls learn her uncivilized ways. Start licking her fingers. My wife starts licking the rice on her right hand off the top parts of her fingers, and that makes Karen rage even more. Oh my God! Look at how gross she is being! Stop looking at her if you don't like it then. Hey, you dumb B-word. Do you behave this way everywhere you go? He changed languages again. I know he did. His accent changed. Yep, and I can keep changing. Speak in English. You must have heard them wrong. They don't know English. Leave them alone. Then why are they living here? They don't deserve to live here if they don't know English. I was having a hard time keeping a straight face, so I disguised it by raising my voice and appearing angry. I gestured towards her and then pointed at her table. Are you so dumb that you can't even listen to your husband? Go sit down and stop embarrassing yourself. You don't deserve to be here! Get out! At this point, the restaurant's manager, Singh, I don't know how to pronounce that, I'm sorry, shows up to see what all the commotion was about. He's an Indian guy with a pretty heavy accent. When he spoke in English, so I knew he'd speak either Hindi or Punjabi. Excuse me, can you please keep your voice down? What is going on in here? This woman is eating with her hand and it's disgusting. She's corrupting my children with her barbaric ways. Ma'am, there are no rules that forbid her from eating with her hands. Please leave them alone or I'll have to ask you to leave. Now Jimmy gets up and comes over to where Karen is. Sit down, Karen. You've embarrassed yourself enough. This is why I can't take you anywhere. Ignore this dumb cow. Her brain is smaller than a ladoo. All of you should go back. Wait. The manager starts laughing at my comment, and Karen gets even redder in the face, since she's probably thinking she probably thinks she in her face, and she thinks we're making fun of her. All of you should go back to your own country. Jimmy just takes her arm and leads her back to their table and sits her down, telling her to shut up. Her eyes look like they want to sink into the floor from embarrassment. I ramble a few more sentences in varying languages as a kind of venting before my wife just tells me to leave it alone. We finish our dinner about 10 minutes later, with Karen glaring at us the whole time. I go to pay the bill, and as we're walking out of the restaurant, we pass near Karen's table. I call out to Jimmy in perfect English, while smiling, and I gave him a wave. Hey, buddy, I hope you enjoy your dinner. Have a good night. Karen's eyes bulge as she screams, I knew it! See, they know English! She tries to stand up suddenly, but instead ended up falling backwards in her seat. My wife and I left the restaurant laughing before she could do anything else. And there's just, 2 edits. Alright, let's see how long we've had a recording going for. 12 minutes. Well, have a nice day, people. Sorry we could only do 2 since I don't want to take up much of your time. But, have a lovely day, and, I'll see you in the next r/video. Just recommend what I should do in the comments.